grow is constantly being calculated, from Washington's record military budget to Hong Kong's struggle for voice, and from economic choke points in China to a deadly fire in India. Tonight we track the stories that define the fault lines of our global landscape. This is the Global News Update on Top Accolade News. The headlines. U.S. lawmakers approve $901 billion defense bill. Hong Kong patriots-only election sees record low turnout. U.S. condemns death of Venezuelan opposition figure. Germany seeks access to China's rare earth exports. The sheer scale of national security spending is staggering. Congress has unveiled an annual defense policy bill authorizing a record $901 billion in national security spending, $8 billion above the Trump administration's request. The sprawling 3,000-page legislation includes a 4% pay raise for enlisted troops, codifies Trump-era executive order on drone manufacturing and the Golden Dome missile defense system, cuts diversity and inclusion program, and deploy troops to the southwest border to intercept undocumented immigrants and drugs. The bill also ensures a minimum of 76,000 U.S. troops remain in Europe, provides $400 million in military aid to Ukraine, and repeals Iraq War authorization from 1991 and 2002. House Speaker Mike Johnson described the legislation as restoring the warrior ethos and securing the border, while critics warn it prioritizes ideology over humanitarian concerns. In a moment where military might and political doctrine intertwine, the line between defense and display has never seemed so clearly drawn. Across the globe, democracy is under a different kind of strain. Hong Kong Legislative Council election on Sunday recorded a near-record low turnout of 31.9%, with only 1.3 million voters casting ballots in a city of 7.5 million. Only candidate betted as patriots were allowed to stand, and authorities mounted extensive campaign to encourage voting, including extended polling hours, promotional cards, and an election anthem. The election coincided with public mourning for the Thai pole fire that killed at least 159 people, amid growing demand for accountability over building safety and government negligence. Authorities arrested several people for alleged national security violation and for inciting boycotts, while foreign press coverage was also scrutinized. In a city where politics, tragedy, and control collide, civic expression can now only flicker through the narrowest of permitted channels. Across the Atlantic, the United States has sharply criticized the Venezuelan government following the death of opposition leader Alfredo Díaz in prison custody, calling it a reminder of the vile nature of President Nicolas Maduro's regime. Díaz had been detained since 2024 after contesting Maduro's disputed re-election and was reportedly held in solitary confinement, seeing his daughter only once. Maduro's government said Díaz suffered a heart attack, while U.S. officials labeled him arbitrarily detained in a torture center. The incident comes amid escalating tension between Washington and Caracas, with U.S. airstrike on suspected drug smuggling vessels and a major military presence in the region, prompting Venezuela to deploy thousands of troops in response. Opposition leaders condemned the death, warning it highlights a systemic crackdown on political prisoners. We track a crucial economic vulnerability that impacts industries worldwide. German Foreign Minister said his visit to China highlighted that much work remains to secure rare earth export licenses for German manufacturers, despite Beijing issuing its first general licenses following a U.S.-China summit. The licenses, covering 17 critical minerals vital for industries from autos to defense, have disrupted global supply chains since April. The minister discussed semiconductor and commodity delivery uncertainty with China's trade minister, while German industry leaders urged the EU to adopt a firmer stance on trade practices. The visit, coordinated with EU partners, also addressed European security concerns, including China's influence on Russia amid the Ukraine war and tensions in the South China Sea. You're watching the Global News Update on Top Accolade News. Do stay with us. Still to come. Thanks for staying with us. The global economic picture is shadowed by regional conflict as violence flares up on an old contested line. Thailand has carried out airstrike along its disputed border with Cambodia after both countries accused each other of breaching a ceasefire broke out by Donald Trump 6 weeks ago. Fighting on Monday left at least 4 Cambodian civilians and one Thai soldier dead, forcing over 385,000 people to flee their homes across multiple provinces. Thailand said the strike targeted Cambodian military position after one of its soldiers were killed and 4 wounded, while Cambodia blamed Thai forces for initiating the attacks. Despite ceasefire efforts and appeals from regional leaders, tension remained high along the century-old contested border, with past conflict erupted into violence repeatedly. Along a line traced by history and nationalism, the border is once again a flashpoint where diplomacy struggles to outrun the roar of artillery. From geopolitics to tragedy closer to home. A fire at the Birch nightclub in Goa, India, has claimed 25 lives, including 4 members of a Delhi family and 21 staff, after indoor fireworks ignited a blaze in the parked venue near a popular beach. Initial suspicions of a gas cylinder explosion were ruled out, and 4 people have been arrested, while an arrest warrant has been issued for the owner. Most victims died of suffocation, with 3 succumbing to burns and 6 are in stable condition in the hospital. Emergency teams are combing through the wreckage, and an inquiry into the tragedy has been launched, with authorities promising strict action against negligence. The disaster highlighted dangers of overcrowded entertainment venues and lax safety standards, proving that a night of celebration can turn into a nightmare in seconds. We pay tribute to an artist who found truth and humor in the ordinary chaos of life. Martin Parr, the British documentary photographer famed for his vibrant satiric images of everyday life, has died at his home in Bristol at the age of 73. Rising to prominence in the mid-1980s with his iconic The Last Resort series, capturing working-class holidaymakers in New Britain, Parr spent over 50 years documenting the quirks and ritual of British life, from seaside towns to village feasts, using a bold, color-saturated style that sparked both acclaim and controversy. Survived by his wife, daughter, sister, and grandson, Parr was praised as a giant of post-war photography, whose work blended humor, social observation, and universal truth. Finally, to the football pitch. Former Manchester United striker Wayne Rooney has warned that Liverpool forward Mohamed Salah risks tarnishing his legacy at the club after publicly criticizing coach Arne Slot for leaving him out of the starting lineup. Salah, who extended his contract in April and has scored 250 goals over 8 years with Liverpool, has netted just 5 goals in 19 appearances this season. Rooney said on his podcast that Salah's comments following Saturday's 3-3 draw with Leeds United undermined the team, and that the forward should focus on the African Cup of Nations to let tensions settle. Liverpool currently sit 9th in the Premier League, 10 points behind leaders Arsenal. From the highest halls of power to the human tragedy of a nightclub fire, the stories tonight remind us that every major global event is ultimately defined by the chaos of individuals. We will continue to track the power, the principle, and the price being paid across the globe. For Top Accolade News, I'm Jeremy Okocha. Do have a wonderful day and keep watching the global news update on Top Accolade News.